It seems like something is always going on in the no jumper universe. Now, in the latest incident, we had the situation with Almighty Suspect and Brandon actually getting into a situation, and we just gonna call it Spitgate. At the end of the day, there was a mix up, and a lot of people were saying that Brandon was set up. I even asked Whack 100 what his opinion on this situation was, and he gave that last week. Now, since then, Brandon and Suspect both ended up at the Marathon Burger grand opening out in Venice Beach. Now, prior to that, on the No Jumper show that the actual spit incident happened on, Brandon said that he would actually be at the Marathon Burger for the grand opening.
For what? You could go to Long Beach and ask any period. You see him in the comments right here.
That voice ain't deep enough.
Much respect, never got hold out in the alley in no city. And on top of that, I'm going to be at the grand opening of the Marathon Burger with the Rolling 60 Crips on the 31st. They invited me to come. No in here, as hard as that, not you and Heavy, not you, but y'all are Munchie, we understand that situation. But all these guys who in the streets, they so tough, they got all invited. They none of them want to show up.
Not for nothing, but you see the faces that Bizarre is making during this exchange, and at the end of the day, he had to feel uncomfortable. Being from Detroit and hearing all of this stuff about what was going on in Long Beach and Suspect steadily antagonizing Brandon, I'm pretty sure that was a situation that he didn't want to be in, and eventually Bizarre ended up walking out and going and taking care of some other business. Now, at the end of the day, both of these individuals ended up showing up at the Marathon Burger. Now, the crazy part about it is if you've seen any of the clips from the actual event in Venice Beach, the line was a mile long. So if anybody wanted to see anyone, it would have been obviously easy for Suspect or Brandon to bump into each other, considering how long the line was and how long it was a wait to actually get your burger. Now, against all odds, Suspect would take to his Instagram story to start making a public announcement or a PSA about his intent to actually show up at the Marathon Burger. Now, in one post in his story, Suspect, the almighty one, would say, "Let's see what this Marathon Burger hitting for," letting Brandon know that he will actually be there. Now, not long after that, Suspect would actually post a video in his story actually showing him outside the Marathon Burger and taunting Brandon and anybody else who said that he wasn't allowed to show up at the grand opening.
Look, so just walked up to me right now, right? And he said, "Bro, nigga was up here, nigga Brandon was up here acting like he was ready to give you a fade, right? As soon as you was, cause I was posting videos of me walking down the boardwalk, you feel me, saying I was on the way. They started telling me, like, look, he making videos walking down the boardwalk. He said, both them got up out of here immediately."
Take over.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I don't got no dog in the fight, fat girl. I told you he was on his way, and you ran.
Thank you.
I showed you the DM. You said you was gonna stay, call him, where he at. Cuz came, you left.
Thank you.
You lost.
Now, Brian Hurst's baby claims that he told Brandon and whoever Brandon was out there with that Suspect was on his way. Suspect was actually posting pictures of him walking down the boardwalk. But at the end of the day, Brian Hurst's baby claims that Brandon and whoever he was with got the hell up out of there once they found out Suspect was coming. Now, I'm not sure if they were afraid that Suspect might have had that dagger on him and was going to poke somebody, if he had that blam, 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 blam on him, or if he might have just had some of his homies or maybe his dad with him, and they just didn't want that action or wanted that to happen outside the Marathon Burger, especially with so many people out there recording. If Brandon would have got knocked out or punked out or packed out, it definitely was going to go viral on the internet. Now, after completing his mission and pulling up at the Marathon Burger, even though there were naysayers who were saying that Suspect wouldn't pull up for the fact that Brandon was going to be there, among other reasons, Suspect would double down on going to the Marathon Burger and actually get back on Instagram and go at those who said that he would not pull up.
This can't stop me from doing shit. Nothing. Don't ever, 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 ever think I won't go wherever the fuck I want to go. I go, fuck where you be at. It's crazy. I was out there comfortably for hours. I just pulled off. Just talking about I can't go there. Man, shut your ass up. If I wasn't allowed, I couldn't tell. Cause I was greeted. I didn't stand in line for my burger. You mean? These be as hell. Both you is butt buddy. Bucci Bear and the Grind butt buddy. And when I pulled up, you ran. What's going on with you? Boy, I tell you, he's crazy.
Now, Bucci Bear, a.k.a. Brandon, will also take to his story, respond to Almighty Suspect allegedly pulling up and Brandon taking off once he got there. Now, in Brandon's story, Brandon would say, all week I've been announcing on No Jumper that would be at the Marathon Burger grand opening at 12 a.m. I'm thinking he meant 12 p.m. But nevertheless, on May 31st, he went on to say Almighty Suspect showed up at 5:30 p.m., saying someone ran from him, as if though it was all capped in what Almighty Suspect and Brian Hurst Baby was saying. Now, not only that, but he also went on somebody else's platform and spoke about what actually took place while he was at the Marathon Burger. Check it out.
What's up with that?
Right.
And I'm like, bro.
Yeah, he got there like 5:30. Everything was getting shut down by like 4:30. Everybody, all the hood dudes and all that, they was congregating in the alley.
Yeah.
So we was all in the alley, and then the police came like, hey, y'all gotta like move, leave, whatever. And I had to go anyway. So as soon as I'm sure somebody was texting him or something.
They say Sutsgird bounced out with the members.
I don't know if he bounced out with the members or whatever. But, you got to understand, he grew up in L.A. So I'm sure he got some friends who he know up there.
Right.
Because it was some dudes that I went to school with who was up there who are from L.A.
Well, what was he trying to fight or what? Like, what was the point? Did he pull up because you said he wasn't gonna pull up, or what was it?
I don't know if he was trying to fight or what, but I know for a fact it was several dudes up there who got issues with him, but I don't know if they left or what. But, it's L.A., people know how to play it.
Now, as you can see, Brandon is defiant about he was there at 12 o'clock and Suspect was nowhere to be found. And when Suspect got there, basically Marathon was packing up. The police was actually making everybody leave and it was over with. But he did mention that there was other individuals up there that had an issue with Suspect. Now, again, from the video footage that we seen of Suspect, it looks like a lot of people were still out there. But Rick Trapper is supposed to be one of the individuals who has an issue with Almighty Suspect. And this is what Rich Trapper had to say about Almighty Suspect allegedly not showing up when people were there who actually had issue with him.
Your boy Almighty Victim was supposed to meet me there, bro. Your boy Almighty Victim was supposed to meet me there. He lied. You know what? Let me show y'all something real quick, because your boy Almighty Victim, oh yeah, bro, he did. Let's keep it real. He did, and I'm gonna keep it 100. This one, we thirsty on this one. He's not worth the edit. Almighty Victim is not worth the edit, bro. So let's kind of show y'all something real quick. Hold on, man. Let me show y'all something real quick. Hold on. Because this right here, this is crazy how this boy Almighty Victim out here acting. That boy Almighty Victim out here. So for those of y'all who don't know, yesterday was a Marathon grand opening. Yesterday was a Marathon. Where Yazzers at? Shout out to Yazzers. Look, little stuff, DJ Charisma. I saw you from afar. Nobody saw Almighty Suspect from afar. So I'm going to show y'all this real quick. And we're going to make a quick little point. You see how that's Black Sam right there? And he's in front of the Marathon situation. You see how you have me and Dodie Six out there doing our little whatever? You see how you have me out there talking to people? But there's Hoggy, an actual Marathon employee. The essays out there showing love. Look at how many people are look at that line. Look at that long line. Adam, that's Nipsey's cousin, part owner of Marathon, for those of y'all who don't know. More fans. That's me and what's her name? Gia Bean from Snowfall. Or Gail Bean, excuse me, from Snowfall. But notice how we're behind. We're in front of that Marathon cutout. You're in front of that Marathon, banner and all that. Me and India Love right there. Me and J-Rock, that's the nigga that knocked out Whack 100 right there. Me and Fuzzy from Power 106, little young homie fan. We got George Panici, the head of Marathon Direction, the head of the security, my man Baby Tyson right there, my homie D-Weezy. We outside, man. We're actually at the event. Me and J-Rock again. Me and DJ Head chopping it up. Yeah, because we were actually at the event. Now, did Almighty Suspect go to Marathon Burger? Yes, he did go to Marathon Burger. But let's see what it looked like when Almighty Suspect pulled up to Marathon Burger. Let's see. Almighty Victim. Okay, let's start here. Let's do some time. 17 hours ago, he said that he was on the way. Let's see what Marathon Burger here for. 17 hours. And then 2 hours later, he gets there. Why it take you 2 hours to get there? But let's see how long it takes him to actually get out the car. Because Almighty Victim didn't have $40 to pay in the front where I was parked, to park in the front where I was at. So Almighty Suspect had to take a little walk. For those of y'all who know Venice, this is the Venice Beach sign. Look at this nigga. In a parking lot, in a random park. You don't even see no water. You won't even see no water. And then he posts another one damn near past a quarter mile, like maybe 0.6 miles away. Look at this. The beach is flat. How are you walking up a hill? The beach is flat. How are you walking up a hill? How far did you park? But look, hold on. 17 hours. It takes him until 14 hours to get out the car. It took him 3 hours. It took Almighty Victim 3 hours. From the time, hold on, y'all, let me show y'all this. 17 hours ago, right? 15 hours ago, that's 2 hours. He had to take a long walk. He's still walking. So that's 3 hours later, and he finally makes it to the beach. Look how nobody's there. And he has to look how far down the boardwalk he has to go. Damn, bro, you can't afford $40 to park in the front? Look at this. And then let's look at it. Nobody's there. Look at this. Come on, bro, that shit ain't packed like when I was out there. My nigga, that's the marathon shit. Look how long the line is not. There's no DJ. Look, wait, hold on. Don't go fast, Almighty Victim. The DJ's gone. Because the event is over. Listen. Wait, hold on. So you mean to tell me you're at Marathon Burger for a marathon event? We don't hear no Nipsey Hussle playing. We hear a jazz horn. Listen to this. We hear a jazz horn.
So after watching what Trap News Network or Rich the Trapper posted, man, it's kind of looking like Almighty Suspect did show up when a lot of the people weren't there anymore. But still, that doesn't mean that he didn't pull up. He actually talked to people. And according to Brian Hurst, baby, we got to go back to that. Brandon was still there as Almighty was walking to the Marathon Burger. I think this thing is going to end with a fade, man. I don't see it ending no time soon. And I'm pretty sure Suspect is kind of hot with Brandon for the fact that you got him fired from No Jumper, even though Almighty is trying to make it look like he's not pressed about the money. And I don't think it's about the money. I think it's more of an ego or pride thing, man. And at this point, with him getting fired and actually being taunted for pulling out a dagger on the live stream at No Jumper, Almighty Suspect is looking kind of crazy. So to me, it seems like he's trying to get some get back or some revenge, man. Hopefully, though, other parties don't get involved and they can try to set this up for these two to get it in. Now, Brandon is a big dude and Almighty Suspect is a little on the slender side, but that don't always mean nothing, man. I don't know how Almighty Suspect hands is. I mean, we can't base it off of his fight with Lush. We know Lush ain't got no hands, and we definitely can't base it off of that fight that happened in the alley because, let's be honest, he got packed out by the BPS. But get in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think about this. Y'all already know what it is, man. Ruler Gang.